faithfully delivering value, interpreting great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally Book Talk. I'm Woo Yoon, your interpreter for this book. Today we're exploring The Price of Beauty, subtitled The Rules of the Modeling Industry. When people think of models, many envision this breathtaking scene. On white runways, models strut in high heels, draped in glamorous outfits, with flawless makeup and mesmerizing walks. Models achieve an almost unreal level of beauty. We ordinary folks get dazzled by their magical aura, and that's where the price of beauty comes in. This book pierces through that glamorous surface to reveal modeling's true nature. Author Ashley Mears is extraordinary, now a Boston University professor who was once a professional model. Talk about trading looks for brains. While earning her NYU sociology PhD, Ashley modeled with agencies in New York and London, researching the industry firsthand. She conducted fieldwork, interviewing 40 models in US, UK, plus 40 fashion insiders, agents, designers, photographers, stylists, and PR folks. The result? A groundbreaking sociological study of modeling. Ashley shows modeling isn't glamorous but low-paying, unstable work without benefits. Models seem adored yet live at fashion's bottom, mastering survival skills. Supermodels emerge from collective effort, even self-deception. The book also tackles common modeling mysteries, like why are models so thin and getting thinner? Why do some luxury ads feature models you wouldn't call beautiful? And why so few non-white models in politically conscious Western fashion? Why do male models earn less than females for equal work? Let's follow Ashley, blessed with both beauty and brains, into the glamorous yet mysterious world of modeling. First, let's understand what it truly means to be a model. Many assume modeling is heaven sent, gifted with a beautiful face and great figure by Providence. Then you can wear the finest makeup, most expensive clothes, and earn big money effortlessly. But relying on looks isn't that simple. Of course, becoming a supermodel does bring massive earnings. Take one of the 5 supermodels from late last century. Linda Evangelista famously declared she wouldn't get out of bed for less than $10,000. Gisele Bündchen, dubbed the most expensive body, peaked at $44 million annual income. But how many such supermodels have actually emerged over the years? Fashion is winner takes all. Few at the top get wealth and fame, while most scrape by on meager pay. In the US, average model income is under $30,000, barely covering rent in cities like New York. You might ask, why live somewhere so expensive? Just relocate. Unfortunately, fashion thrives only in few cities like New York, London, Paris, and Milan, meaning models must work in these high-rent cities or forfeit careers. Plus, modeling's short lifespan means agencies provide no health or retirement insurance. After a year with a New York agency, author Ashley Mears netted just $11,318. Her NYU PhD stipend was double that annually. Surprised? Modeling paid less than her studies. Beyond low pay and no benefits, the work is unstable and unpredictable, hence high turnover. Most modeling careers last under 5 years. Yet, countless girls still flock to this seemingly dazzling industry. This leads to the modeling industry having high turnover but always being oversupplied. So, what's the main job of a model? Walking runways, shooting editorials, and fitting clothes for fashion designers. Ashley tells us that for an average model, the most frequent thing is attending castings. To land the next job, models go to all kinds of casting calls. The casting process roughly involves: first, models present their card. Those contain their photos, name, agency name, and personal data info. Personal data info means a model's height, clothing and shoe sizes, hair and eye color, and most importantly, measurements. For female models, measurements are the bust, waist, and hip circumferences. For males, it's waist size, shirt size, and inseam length. After submitting comp cards, if a client is interested in a model, they might take photos or have them try on sample outfits. If it's a runway show casting, The client will ask interested models to walk a short catwalk in the room. Finally, models usually leave their comp cards, smiling goodbye to the client, even though they know that card might soon be tossed in the trash. The models can't predict the outcome from castings. Sometimes they feel great but get no callback. Other times they think they messed up but land the job. Either way, the decision isn't theirs but the client's. Just keeps models living in constant insecurity. Their work and future are too unpredictable. So they focus on what they can control. They focus on what they can control. That self starts with their body, as the industry has strict height and weight requirements. Generally, female models must be at least 1.75 centimeters tall, with measurements around 86 to 62 to 86 centimeters. When the author was modeling, she was 1.75 meters tall, weighed about 56.5 kilograms, which was already very thin. But her agent still often told her to lose weight, while male models need to be 1.83 to 1.90 meters, with waist around 81 centimeters and chest about 100 centimeters. Models treat their bodies as capital, investing meticulous attention to maintain specific measurements. They typically eat only vegetables and fish, maintaining strict fitness routines. It's common to see models munching celery stalks for lunch on set. If you ask how it tastes, they might tell you. Thin is the best flavor. Beyond managing their bodies, models must develop physical skills, like mastering the runway walk. The model walk isn't easy to learn. Try this. Stand straight against a wall, shift weight between legs while twisting knees and shoulders. Repeat until you feel hip separation, the foundation of runway walking. A proper catwalk requires leading with hips, straight leg movement, and rock-steady upper body. Top models develop signature walks beyond these basics, like Maria Carla Bascono's scissor legs, extreme hip twists with stationary upper body. Try it, but watch your step. But physical mastery alone isn't enough, not nearly. In modeling, everyone's attractive. Standing out requires a winning personality. They must cultivate appealing emotions and temperaments. In modern terms, they must sell a persona. You might think beautiful models are spoiled princesses. On the contrary, successful models have great attitudes, endurance, and people skills. Modeling work is physically demanding. During fittings, designers adjust clothes on you. Expect pinpricks and rough handling. Shoots involve kneeling on hard surfaces, hanging from wires, or wading in icy water. For example, when media asked Gisele Bündchen, "Was your appearance key to your success?" she responded, "Not at all. I believe it's my personality. I rarely complain. If a photographer says, 'Gisele, go there,' I go immediately, even through snow." Models cultivate likable personalities because they're fashion's underclass, facing brutal competition and high turnover. Agents, show directors, designers, stylists, photographers, these roles are more stable and authoritative. Thus, seasoned models build good relationships with agents and charm casting directors. On set, models tiptoe around everyone, even sweet-talking makeup artists with smiles. This constant politeness and professionalism is emotional labor, essential for models to stay likable and irreplaceable. Yet, even with looks and charm, models face instant rejection. For models constantly auditioning, rejection is daily bread. Rejections often include humiliation. Agents critique looks, asymmetrical ankles, flat nose, or huge forehead. At one casting Ashley witnessed, a model couldn't zip pants. The designer shouted, "Oh no, why are you even here?" She measured the model's hips. Girl, 37 inches, while patting her thigh. We need 35 inches. We call yours a post-baby butt. In this environment, models develop thick skin against routine rejection. Facing coldness, rejection, or insults, they self-soothe. Most rejections are random, not my fault, don't overthink. But even the toughest mental defenses can collapse sometimes. Once, Ashley attended a TV commercial casting for body lotion, where she had to dance in shorts with two models who looked about 16. After the dance, the director kept those two models but told her, "Except you can leave." Walking outside, Ashley wrote in her notebook, "Feeling too old, want to quit, end it here." Of course, she didn't quit. Too much field work awaited her. All right, that's the real experience of modeling. Next, let's explore an interesting question: the value of models. How can young girls stand out in fierce competition to become successful commodities? What is it that makes one model more valuable than her competitors? And how are supermodels' peak model value created? To understand model value, first know there are two types: commercial and editorial models. These model types have different values, approach fashion differently, and define value by different standards. First, commercial models. They do various commercial jobs, like shooting catalogs for fashion companies, print or TV ads, going to design studios for fittings, etc. Commercial models have relatively stable income. Catalog shoots average about $3,000 per day. Editing sessions at design studios pay well too, around $200 per hour. Now, editorial models. Actually, people's first thought of models is usually editorial, appearing on runways, high-end magazines, luxury campaigns. Editorial models are also called high fashion models. If you watch shows like Project Runway or America's Next Top Model, you'll hear high fashion constantly. Surprisingly, these glamorous high fashion jobs actually pay very little. Fashion magazine shoots average only $100 daily. Prestigious? Vogue pays $150 for 8-hour shoots. Some magazines pay nothing, just providing lunch and snacks. Even worse, some magazines don't provide sample copies. Models must buy the magazine themselves, cut out their page, and add it to their portfolio. The runway show pay listed in resumes is also very low. Of course, if you're a supermodel, you can easily, get $20,000 for a show, but most earn under $1,000 daily. Sometimes brands pay not with cash but gifts. After one show, Ashley and a dozen models were led to a room where the designer pointed at a table piled with clothes, belts, bags, and shoes, saying, "Take two each." Models scrambled frantically, a wild scene. Another time, after walking for a top designer at NYW, Ashley got a bag with 5 garments, none in her size. Her father joked, "Add $1 and you can buy coffee with these." Yet, editorial models, despite meager pay, gain high prestige. Here, models chase fame, not money, enduring low pay or even paying to work, all to build reputation. The ultimate prize? Luxury endorsements. Land one, and it's $1 million annual salaries, often for years. So editorial models either make it big or get nothing. So, if you were a model, would you choose commercial or editorial work? Commercial offers great pay, but lower fashion prestige. Editorial brings little income, sometimes debt, yet a shot at modeling's crown. Ordinary comfort or thrilling risk? Which would you choose? But honestly, models might not choose. Commercial and editorial demand completely different looks and vibes. Commercial models cater to the masses, needing mainstream appeal. Simply put, they must be beautiful. Beauty varies: healthy, classic, fresh, or edgy, but the most valuable is the girl next door type. As for male commercial models, handsome, elegant, and appearing completely normal. The most commercially valuable male models look like ideal boyfriends, while editorial model aesthetics are harder to define. High fashion doesn't cater to mainstream tastes. It uses models to express avant-garde ideas and artistic visions. Thus, they transcend or challenge popular beauty standards, showcasing unconventional attractiveness. Sometimes flipping through Vogue, you might exclaim, "Why is this model so unusual?" Or "How'd someone this plain become a model?" But actually, it's precisely their uniqueness that gets them selected by magazines like Vogue. Of course, commercial and high fashion worlds aren't completely separate. Top commercial events can attract elite, editorial models. Victoria's Secret angels are the perfect example. But the reverse, commercial models entering editorial, is much harder. In fact, models doing long-term commercial work basically exit high fashion. Reputable agencies maintain both commercial and editorial rosters, carefully balancing proportions. Commercial models dominate, usually over 70%, as they provide steady income. But agencies reserve about 20% for editorial models, even subsidizing them, because only editorial work builds prestige that benefits all models and attracts top talent. If your agency develops a supermodel like Cindy Crawford, Heidi Klum, or Carly Kloss, you'll dominate fashion. All right, now let's explore how supermodels are actually born. First, there's no strict definition, but generally, supermodels need high visibility, Vogue features, and luxury contracts. They emerge only from editorial, never commercial modeling. But bizarrely, high fashion insiders have no clear selection criteria. Agents don't know which looks will attract clients. Clients don't know which models will sell their vision. Nobody knows what the next supermodel will look like. Agents have no choice but to pursue a vague goal, finding someone who fits the season's trendy style and stands out distinctly from past supermodels. Once they find such a candidate, agents start hyping them up, calling all industry contacts to say, "We've got an absolutely stunning newcomer. You should see them. Everyone's talking about them. Everyone's calling or emailing us about it." Clients usually scoff at this kind of hype from agents. Many magazine editors and show directors told Ashley that agents love to exaggerate, but they'll eventually pick one stand-up girl from the recommendations, always following the winner takes all rule. For example, if 10 agents pitch 10 future stars to a show director, the director won't accept all 10 for separate shows. Instead, they'll choose one girl for 10 shows, then call their industry pals saying, "You know what? There's this newcomer who's incredible, booked for 10 shows right out of the gate. They're definitely going to be the next supermodel." Every season, a powerful group of clients arbitrarily backs one model to create a new superstar. This lucky girl isn't really any different from the other candidates. Like, beyond being chosen at the right time by the right people, some might wonder, why do these fashion folks even do this? The answer is simple, because they have to. Fashion's mission is to keep rolling out magical girls to embody luxury brand images. The magic isn't innate in the girl. It's crafted and bestowed through pushing artistic innovation's limits. Supermodels are woven together by fashion producers. It's a kind of social alchemy. All right, now we've uncovered the secret of how supermodels are born. Next, let's chat about some specific phenomena and issues in the modeling industry. As you might know, many sociologists, especially feminists, have long fiercely criticized modeling, focusing on two things: thinness and whiteness. First, let's look at the issue of thinness. The National Organization for Women frequently points out the huge gap between fashion's ideal body and real life. The average American woman is 163 centimeters tall and weighs 74 kilograms. Today's average American model stands 180 centimeters tall and weighs just 53 kilograms. Many models starve themselves to fit size 0 clothes, equivalent to a 7-year-old size, with some resorting to drugs for weight loss and deaths from anorexia occurring. Author Ashley Mears argues this issue requires a dual perspective. First, commercial modeling is addressing the thinness problem. Commercial models have always been larger than editorial ones, and their sizes keep increasing as average consumer weight rises. Once, a Canadian department store chairman received hundreds of angry emails complaining their catalog models were too thin. He immediately canceled catalog distribution, removed the photos online, and issued an apology letter. But editorial fashion models remain extremely thin. Designers prefer size 0 models because clothes hang on them like on hangers. This showcases every design detail. Some might say normal people can't wear those clothes. But remember, they're not designed for normal people. This reveals high fashion's secret: luxury branding. Brands never profit from haute couture. Runway haute couture primarily showcases brand aesthetics for advertising and PR impact. Real profits come from perfumes, bedding, sunglasses, and ready-to-wear lines. Crucially, extreme thinness aligns with fashion's principle of distancing from mainstream beauty. Commercial modeling favors pretty, sexy models, but sexiness has no place in high fashion. Curves or feminine features are seen as polluting high-end brands and elite femininity. They aim to construct an unattainable, ethereal beauty. So which conveys that ethereal quality better, plumpness or thinness? Obviously thinness, ideally so thin there's no chest, waist, or hips. Now, let's look at another major criticism of the modeling industry. White models make up the overwhelming majority. Even today, with increasing political correctness in the West, this obvious racial imbalance hasn't significantly improved. Regarding this, Ashley first points out that just like being more lenient with sizes, racial diversity in commercial modeling is clearly greater. For example, if you walk into a Gap or Old Navy now, you'll see models of various skin tones in their photos. The reason, similar to choosing fuller figured models, is to attract a broad consumer base and meet public expectations. So the main issue lies in high fashion, where non-white models make up no more than 10% of editorial modeling. This is actually strange because most fashion insiders are liberals, arguably Western society's biggest champions of diversity. In fact, when discussing racial issues in modeling with the author, they all showed clear frustration. They all stated that if they made the decisions, editorial models would definitely be racially diverse. However, the modeling mindset has been infused with capitalist white cultural norms from the start. Slender, tall, white women fit Western society's deep-seated beauty standards. Moreover, as mentioned earlier, the fashion industry is full of high uncertainty. In this situation, professionals naturally cling to the few certainties available, and whiteness is one such relatively enduring convention. That said, under political correctness pressure, high fashion doesn't exclusively hire white models. In fact, they are indeed making efforts toward racial diversity. For instance, Elite Model Management, one of the world's top agencies, once went deep into remote villages in sub-Saharan Africa to find a dark-skinned model. But the proportion of non-white models remains small, seeming to serve only as a token presence. For example, in a runway show with 10 models, there's usually one black model, one East Asian model, and the remaining 8 are all white. And the non-white models favored by high fashion can basically be divided into two categories. The first is those with weak racial features. The only difference between this type of model and white models is their skin color. They have the exact same physique and presence as white girls with zero racial body characteristics beyond their skin tone. The peak of this weak racial features look is mixed race models, embodying both high fashion refinement and racial diversity, hence their huge popularity. The second category is exotic look models, whose appearance completely breaks from white frameworks, carrying intense foreign allure that teases fantasies of distant lands. Sudanese model Alek Wek is the perfect example. Her appearance is distinctly different from typical African American girls. The aforementioned agency specifically traveled to remote villages in sub-Saharan Africa. They were hunting for exactly this exotic look, while these non-white models ease fashion insiders' guilt. The problem is, when one non-white model becomes popular, it restricts opportunities for others of the same ethnicity. Black models often hear clients say, "You're great, but we already have 4 black girls." One black model told author Ashley that a client once said, "You're beautiful, but we already have a girl with your style. Then showed her that model's photo. The model thought, are you kidding me? How on earth do you see any resemblance between us? Modeling has not just racial issues, but gender issues too. Though unlike society's usual male favoring bias, the modeling industry favors women over men. In nearly all professions today, women earn less than men. Even in female-dominated fields like nursing and social work, men get higher pay and faster promotions. But modeling reverses this. Female models earn 25 to 75% more than males. Male models not only earn less, but face worse working conditions. They're more vulnerable to sexual assault than females because Western fashion is largely dominated by women and gay men. To land jobs, many male models pretend to be gay and flirt with clients. But flirting is dangerous. It implies transactional expectations, and many male models experience client harassment. A male model shared this story. Once during a shoot, the photographer was a big name. While shaking hands, this famous photographer pulled the model's entire arm toward himself, positioning it below his chest toward his groin. The model quickly pulled his arm back. The photographer raised his eyebrows and stared at him. The model hesitated but ultimately refused and lost the job. Male models' lower status stems largely from society not viewing modeling as a legitimate career for men. And multiple agents told the author, honestly, I don't get why men even want to model. When racial inequality comes up, fashion insiders get visibly uneasy, showing embarrassment or anger. But when gender inequality is mentioned, they just shrug it off casually. Half joking, one agent said when male models complain about pay, if you don't like it, grow some breasts. Even male models undervalue their profession. Many guys admit they model because it pays better than washing cars or delivering pizzas. One quipped, not bad getting paid to sit around with hot chicks, right? Uh, Others see it as networking for future careers in creative industries. For women, modeling itself fulfills goals or dreams, but for male models, it's not the destination, just a stepping stone. Yet, feminists take no joy in modeling's female dominance. It proves women's looks carry heavier societal weight than men's. Women's bodies, as objects of sex and beauty, hold higher market value. So modeling's female favoritism doesn't challenge gender hierarchy, it blatantly replicates traditional norms. This is sociologist Ashley Mears, herself a former model, dissecting the modeling world. Glamorous yet brutal, like Eileen Chang's beautiful robe crawling with lice. Meanwhile, Ashley openly admits she loves this industry, even though, as a sociologist, she must deconstruct it. But when she entered the industry as a model, she couldn't control her heartbeat and emotions. Like every model, she experienced excitement, nervousness, and disappointment during castings and felt confidence, pride, and power on the runway. She says no matter what, modeling is thrilling and therefore incredibly fun. Such honesty makes us adore the author even more, not just for her beauty and talent, but also for her authenticity and candor. What a beautiful price. That's all for our interpretation of the rules of the modeling industry. Reading notes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.